I'm going to start with this is going to be buttons, and it's more or less for lighting, glowing, and things like that. And buttons usually have an action, especially if you create buttons instead of just have like CSS buttons. You can create your own buttons to do just about anything. Look any way you want, act any way you want. And you can replace them even in PHP. And in PHP, I have a website like this. So when I move, you can see that red letters. And these, you can see the colors coming into the letters because I'm making the button glow a little bit, like hot, and the colors in the letters just showing red. I can go back to a leather. Leather shows I'm making the button look like it's lighting up. And these buttons here, they're like a pearl, what I've created for like pearl look. So when you move the mouse over it, it lights up, it glows. In order to start it that way, you don't want the button to be glowing already. You want it to be kind of dark, but still good. When you move the mouse over, then it gets lighter. And so you can see this where I'm moving over, that submit is not black anymore. So the button is glowing, and the submit is turning a dark red or brown. And I push down on it, and it's glowing brighter, and it turns to like a orange. So in order to keep from doing this, well, actually, I just click let go because there's nothing there. So you can see buttons work because you're moving over them and they light up. That proves that they work. So it helps to have this kind of action so that people understand that these work. Otherwise, you won't see them work. It just things you move over and don't really do anything. But you can make these do anything. Like this right here, these are forwards and backwards. So if I go backwards, I made the button when you push down on it, push in like it's rocking, and going forwards. At least that don't go nowhere right now. But on movies, it shows a list of movies for 25 per row, and all these buttons glow, showing they work. And then this rocks to one side. I guess this is showing it messed up a little bit. I'll have to rewrite the program. Anyway, the one I'm doing here is that since you can make the buttons do anything right here, I'm making this, made this globe like astronaut thing. It's a glass bowl turned upside down for like fish or whatever. And when you move over it, the raccoon appears inside like It's magic. It's got this glow that lights up. And then this raccoon is in here. See, this is an animated button. It's animated GIF file. So it can do anything you want. You can open up doors or just make something appear like magic, throw in a little light flash, and there he is. And when you click down on it, it just stays bright. So that's how that works. So it can be anything. And if I'm going to go home, see if I can digital art. See, this is a function of buttons. You move the mouse over and these change. They kind of take a while to load up because there's bigger images in here. But I'm not clicking on any of these. I'm just moving the mouse over it. This is a function of the mouse over to change this picture up here to whatever I'm moving the mouse over, a larger version. Plus I can click on this little icon and it takes me there to a larger image. So if I click on this, I see that, but I'm still on this page. This just opened up another page because I've made it so that it would start a new file, new tab. So you can just scroll through all the images like this. So it's pretty good for pictures, just to use these button type things for pictures, because each one of these buttons here has a name. Each one. I named them to the picture, gave them a picture name or a number. And this part up here is named something different. So when I want to show a mouse over event, I just say on this mouse over event where I'm showing swamp, then use it on like these are B buttons or B's. On the second button would be like whenever I move over it, that's the second button. Third button would be when I click on it. First button is just the button that's the picture that shows up. It's not even a button, it's just a picture. So it's picture replacement. So when I have this picture name, everything on that replaces this picture, like if I move this mouse over it and it changes these pictures down here, instead of this, I moved this to here and gave it this is frame A. So when I move the mouse over here, the event isn't doing anything because it already did it. It's not changing it. It won't change it down here. It changes it up here. So this is part of the programming. So what I'm going to show is doing lighting and stuff for buttons. And it also helps to know because you use it in art. So one way you can light up things is that right here I have these layers over here on the side, and I can go underneath one or more and do a glowing light. Like I'll pick this color right here. This is a color that doesn't work very good with anything, and I'll just make it glow. And this is 100% flow. And I'm going to paint this here. Now let's say that this is a button. These buttons will glow when this is when there's the mouse over top of these buttons. And they're all in the same spot here. I'm putting them all together. Then you can improve the brightness of the light by a smaller brush getting close to the edge. So this is the light that comes up from underneath when you move the mouse over it. The big part is that when you do these buttons, you don't want them to interfere with other buttons. So if you don't want these to be all in one, like as part of a picture you can't break up, you'll have to put them all back together exactly where they are, but have different links to them. So you do something like this and unselect that much of it. That way that these are in the darkest areas, and this covers this without showing anything out here. Or you can go back and trim these. Get a smaller brush, pick up this color, or actually this don't need to be picked up. I just can use eraser and erase some of the light. That wouldn't look good for a curve. I can use the higher flow rate. So you can work on it and get it to look better the way it is. So it's sort of like if you want limits on it, you can put limits on it. So then you can contain the light. Wait a minute, undo eraser. I'm holding shift to make these straight lines, and I keep hitting that other part. But actually, the best way to do this is just get rid of that layer. Use this. And then use this color and unselect these buttons over here. This is the way I normally do it instead of doing mostly freehand stuff. And by the way, when I click on 100, when I want this to be 100%, see right now it's zoomed in to 192%. 100% looks like this. So this would be actual size. And it depends on the zoom on your browser too. but this is 100%. So these are as big as they will be on the website. But I like to work on them a little bit closer. Okay, now I start a new layer. Do this, fill. Now it's filled in behind it and you can't see it until you use blur. Say filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Gaussian blur is putting that out there a little bit. Right there's a little bit more. Right there's a little more. So just adds a little bit of light going out. And then I can select it all, edit, fill. That adds more. Then I can blur it from there. Gaussian blur. So that it just do it enough to where it's not going to interfere with the buttons. Like right here, these two buttons are too close together. So I'll back it off a little bit. And I can make these buttons black and show text on it. And image, actually, let's see, that's 72. 18 is too small. 14. Yeah. Go with 24. And then stretch it out. Free transform. There. Then another one down here. This, since I enlarged it, the fonts were enlarged, but they weren't lengthened. So this is going to have to be repeated. So I'm going to hold Control and Shift after I do the first click. I selected Show. Now I'm holding Shift while I'm holding Control and click Close and Open. Now I have those three selected. Now I'm going to go over here and make a darker version. Fill it with a darker color. So you can read that, and if it's in the same place, then you won't see it move, but I think it needs to be nudged over a little bit. So we can make a button from here. This edit, copy, merge, file, new. Okay, edit, paste. Then we just move this over. Edit, copy, merge. Edit, paste. So now we need to move that one back over. Okay, it looks like it's moving, so another nudge. So when you move the mouse over this, it would look like that. So that's how this button will look. It looked normal there. Then the mouse over replaces it with that image. So when you move over, it looks like it's lighting up. And then when you, I just have to try to figure out how to do that. I can do another paste in, edit, paste. Besides moving, I gotta move this over so you don't see that. Now I'm gonna move down one. But I don't think I want that button on top moved down. Let's see. I know it. I gotta move this over 2 notches. And I copy it here, but I can't copy it right now, so I'll have to start a new layer and fill it. That way I can get it back. Now I'm gonna have to move this down 1 and have to move open down 1. And then hide this and select that area. Click open. Wait a minute. I want to make this color brighter. Duplicate layer. And image adjust brightness and contrast. Go brighter. You can see the brightness isn't changing. Let's do this brighter. Open, duplicate layer. And copy this color. Then trash that layer. And above open, start a new one and do fill. So now I can change that color. So now I just do brighten, image adjust, brightness and contrast. I do brighter, but you can see it don't do any brighter. It's only because the color. So since you can't get no brighter than that, you have to go with another way of doing it to make it brighter, and that's to change the color a little bit. The hues. Image, adjust, hues and saturation, and pick a hue that looks brighter. I don't know why that disappears. I don't see that changing at all either. Oh, wait a minute. There's a copy over top of it. Trash that. Now we can go with try to brighten it again. Image, adjust, brightness. See? It's not changing. It's changing darker, but it's not going no brighter. It's like kind of getting pale. So it's not very much brighter when you look at it. So image, adjust, hues and saturation. If there's nothing, no hue that's brighter, then it's just going to be a different color. See? And I'll just move this away. Click OK. So now it's not this turquoise color. It has less green in it. Then adjust brightness. So this is the only way to go. That makes it brighter. Not by much, but brighter. And in order to make that look brighter, you might have to add a little bit of color to these. That way that this glow works on these. So I'm gonna add another layer there. Do this with this color. Fill. But still image, adjust, brightness and contrast. Kind of like that. And then where it's got open, I do another one on top, which is underneath. Edit, fill, and do the same thing as I did with the lighting. Underneath, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Wait a minute, this is the wrong color. I filled it with the wrong color. Pick up that color. Edit, fill. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. So now you can see this is sort of looks brighter because of the glow. Now I can go back to this. Now I've made that shape so then I can select the same spot. So now edit, copy merged, and take this button out. And then add this new one. It went over. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's over by 4. And it went down. So you can see it went down. That's the movement of clicking down. It's a just makes you think that it went down. So now we have this button, then the mouse over, and then a button that you press and it goes down. So this looks brighter than that one. And this one looks brighter than that one, which is pretty obvious. And this one could be the final one, and there could be like a step in between where this is a darker color. So you got all this lit up, and you don't have to light up anything. You just light up the letters. And then when you press, you can see this glow on the sides. So it's your option and choices to what you use to make how the button would work. So this was just a basic kind of button. So then we go with this other color. And this, remove this. No, not that. These two. And the glow. Actually, I should have changed the glow color. Anyway, so these are probably shouldn't be this color. I got open in these two, and then go with this color. Edit. Because I can't select it like that. Just do this. That was lighter, that's darker. So close. Show. Oh, I can see that that was the same color. This is like a darker over here. Anyway, we have buttons and they show something. So now we just, let's move this button back. Wrong one. I think this was moved. There. So now I just start with colors and light. And I'll just get rid of that, and all these. So this is probably should be black. Edit, fill. Now when I'm going to do something with the tubes and stuff, I can just brush it in, like I'll just get a hard brush and write. Actually, it helps to do it with a color on top. With the 100% flow. That would help. So suppose if this was a neon sign. First of all, you want the neon to be bright in the middle and a little bit darker around the sides. That'll give actually, that would be the opposite. Because on a neon tube, you get lights and everything from around it. So you actually have it darker in the middle. So I get a soft brush and make it smaller. Not too small, about half the size. And then go through with a darker color. That'd be kind of tricky with this freehand stuff. And I have to stop before I get there because that's a crossover. Or I'm probably better off just doing it and then pick up the color and go over so that I got the edges. But I want to get closer so I can do this better and go with a smaller brush. I go with the 4 and go around this side. So then, oops. Apparently my hand wants to go that way. So I'll start down here. And get each side. This up here to be smaller, so I'll just have to get it later. Now I can go smaller. And actually that's not done very good. Undo brush. Lower the flow so then I can imitate this, just make it sharper. And need to go lower than that. There. Now it's softer. There. So there's one letter. I think I'll just try to do this one a little bit the smaller brush and try to stay in the middle. Probably won't be able to do that. That's why it wouldn't be good. Let's see. Do it. 9 was the original size. 7. And 1. 6. Okay. Now I just. This was 100%. So I just do 100%. Looks like 6 was the wrong choice. Oh well. Now I pick up this color right here and try 4. Go around the edges. We're messing up. Let's see. This, I want this to be on top, so I'll just go across here. On this fluorescent lights, instead of having a shade around the sides, the shade is light color. Because when you're painting a regular thing like for lighting, you're shading with shadows. But with lighting, you're shading with light. So the shading is actually the opposite with lighting because you're shading with light. Try to thicken this part right here. Okay. So now I just use a little bit of blur. Filter, blur, blur. Filter, blur, blur more. Now we have something that looks sort of like that. And now imagine that this is outside and you got the moonlight. So we're going to lighten it up with a really low flow. And let's say that the light is coming from the top left front. So the moon is in the sky, top left front. So we just, everything that's on the top left, we add highlights to where it's pointing that direction. So the highlight will be closer to here. And it'll fade out more. Go with a lower flow through here. Because the top left center here is pointing towards the moon. And then behind here, it could be doing the same thing. Because this would be on top. So now we get like this, and we add a little bit of flow, and then make it brighter right here. That's on the top left. There's nothing there on that side that's top left. So now I just move over to the C. This is top left right here. It was a mistake to make that little pull up, but we'll just keep with it. So let's try to separate this a little more. And now top left, this is the side facing the top left. And this is the area facing top left. But this is be the brightest part right here because this is top left. Now, see what it looks like. Looks like some of these are brighter. So we could add more brightness to it. Edit, step back, and to keep the selection tool from getting in the way, we just uncheck extras. So it's still selected, you just can't see it. So now we're going to make this brighter. Right here. Okay. That looks a little better, but this right here looks like it needs to blend down. So I'll go with the lower flow again and follow this line right here. Make it brighter through here so it blends through. There. Oh yeah, this will be bright too right here. That's the top left. Okay. So that sort of like sets it. Get in here. Go with the smaller brush. And there. Oh, that's probably too sharp there. Undo brush. Go out a little bit. There. So now we have that. And in order to get this glow, you have to light up behind it. So let's see, this showing that. That's showing that. Maybe I should just merge it down because I didn't know that I did two different ones. Okay, there. Now we painted that. Now I select this, go on the background, start a new layer, then go with the light blue and then fill. Now, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. So now we have more like the blur for the letters. And I can select this again and fill it. So now I'm going to go on a layer above that, start a new layer, and select this letters again, and then do white. This will add the extra brightness. But you don't want to do it too much because you want this blue. So we do filter, Gaussian blur, and you can see where it's way out there. We want it to be less. Okay. And it looks like we don't want it to be that bright. So it's lighter, makes it stand out more. So it looks like this blue for the light here looks like it could be too bright around the sides. So that's that layer. So I'll just do another layer over that and then pick this darker blue and paint over it. Edit, fill. This on a new layer. So now we just fade it. Lower the opacity so that you can control the darkness that it's going to show. And or lightness. If it looks like this is too light or too dark, you can change the color, image, adjust brightness and contrast, and go with a brighter color so that you fade the letters out, the middle part out. See, fading the middle colors out, and then change how much you want it to fade. So since this is like a black background and this is blue letters, you don't want the blue to be too much for the black because black isn't shining against anything. It's just empty black space. So we'll just put a color behind it. Edit, fill. And then we can darken it. And use the contrast to turn it to more of a black. So we got this. Wait a minute. See, when you use contrast, you lose the color. So when you go darker, the color looks bolder. So you can go with more contrast to make it remove some of the color. Then click OK, and then I'm going to erase the areas I don't need. So now it's the letters are in an area that it's lighting up. Image, and I can add more to it. Since I got a really low flow, there. So now this could look like the thing here, just lighting, and you can do like a reflection underneath of it. So you see where this is selected, you move it down, nudge it down, and you can go to the left a little bit so that you can do an echo of it, and then use a color edit. Wait a minute, I just nudged that out of this shadow part. Step back. I'll just fill, and then nudge it down. And over. Then we can blur it a little bit. Filter, blur. Do a Gaussian blur. Then make it wider for a wider reflection. Edit, fill. This is how you make it wider. You just select it, fill it, unselect it, blur it, or blur, Gaussian blur. That makes it wider. Then you select it again, edit, fill, and you got that. So now it's wider, bigger and wider. But I didn't really need it wider. So I'll just fade this now so that it would be like a reflection in there. There. So that's a reflection a little bit. It was too wide, so probably not a good reflection. Also makes the light look like it's standing out more. So this is for lighting and glow. So anytime that you have a light, like let's say a white light, edit, fill. This would be a bright light, so all you see is this. But you can also make it have details, like have this center part darker. Wrong size. A little bit darker. And then I think I can go with this 1 pixel brush and then write stuff in it. I just do another layer. Use black. So like it's like a 100-watt bulb. And then underneath that, do the bright filament. Oh, where's that? I don't see that much happening here. Go with this. Showing the bright filament, and then probably because of the low flow. Four. And then this is showing the inside of the bulb going down into this tube-like thing. That's too big. And that's not a soft brush. So if you were to actually strain your eyes to look at this, you would definitely see the burning light right here in the middle. And it'll go out as far as that filament goes. It undo brush. This is to be the filament stems going down inside. And fade this one out a little bit because of the brightness of the light. Then we go smaller. There, we fade it back out. So we reach a point where it looks like it's where it's supposed to be. And then we can erase the edges to make sure that the glow is, oops, I just did all that on one layer. Step back. So I'll just select this, use a brush, make it smaller, and make this brighter on the outside. So now it's like you're staring at this bulb and you're focusing on it, and it's pretty bright. And you get your eyes to where you can actually see this 100 in here. Trying to read this 100. While this thing is burning your eyes. So go with smaller brush. There. And you can read the light bulb is a 100-watt bulb. Now we got to get the area around it. So layer 15 would be for the bright glow around it. So there. Now you got this light all around it from the glow. It's charging the ions around it. And let's see, a brush is pretty big there. So we want most light right near it, closer to it. So there it is. So does that look almost like it could hurt your eyes? No, probably not, but if your eyes pretend like this is a real light bulb, that would probably make your eyes feel like it should be reacting to it. Because the point about making something look real is making your eyes react to it. Your eyes react to it. That means even your eyes think it looks real. Your mind thinks it looks real. So that's lighting. Now, I guess that would be pretty much far as glowing and lighting goes. And that covers like this kind of lighting, glowing buttons, which when you're doing glowing buttons, you can actually, I'm going to put this under that one. You can actually make slots in it, like for the light to come through. And that would be this layer right here. Actually, I just do this. and then you just delete it. There's light coming through there. Or you can do like a light there, and where it's this, I pick up this color here and delete it, this area. So now I can use a brush, small brush, like a 1 pixel brush, go, let's say we go across, because it going across, I can just hold shift. These are like kind of low. Try a little bit more. So these could be like textures inside the lens. You only see them when they're glowing, when the light's on. And you add some color in there. For the plastic glowing, so it's not just shadows. And usually when you have something like that in plastic, they have the side walls that are glowing, because the light is inside the plastic. So it's making the sides glow. So I'll fill them in with white for now, just to remove everything else there. And then go with the darker color through here. And then use a brush to brush in more darkness. That was too much. Okay, there, in the corners. So now we go with the brighter color to give it. That's a brighter color. And then the brightest color will be in the middle. So too big. So that'll be bright right there in the middle. That's where the light is. So now we zoom out, and you can see the effects that's inside the glass there. You can see the edges around the edge for where the walls are inside the plastic. And this light right here can have the effect. So let's see. Select inverse. This light right here, you can add a glow through here. And you can darken the edges with a color. And so that will look unique. So there's all kinds of things you can do inside a button for just like little lights inside the button. So when it's not lit, it's just not there. Okay, I guess that's enough for that. I'll hide all that.